to our Poe Nation out there, everybody out in Poe land. I hope everybody is doing well. We did get through it, didn't we? The first week of the brand new year, 2023. I hope it's been a wonderful year for you thus far. My name is Enrica Jang. I'm the executive director of Poe Baltimore, the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. And we're here tonight for a live Q&A to talk about the Saturday Visitor Awards, a prize honoring a new generation of artists and writers inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. We are meeting every Thursday in January to talk about the awards. Really getting close to it, guys. Really getting close to it. We are exactly 1 week away from the portal opening for our calls for entries for the Saturday Visitor Awards. I hope that creators out there inspired by Poe, or the people out there who are interested in Poe and you see Poe works out in the world, I hope that you are getting ready to tag those folks, nominate those creators, tag those creators, let them know about the Saturday Visitor Awards, an annual prize to honor new works in popular culture inspired by Poe. Now, talk about Poe Baltimore. We actually turned 10 this year. This is a really big year for Poe Baltimore. We are the nonprofit organization created to fund, maintain, and interpret the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum here in beautiful Baltimore, Maryland. We also celebrate Edgar Allan Poe's legacy here in Baltimore and beyond. We have citywide programming. Every year we host the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards, and the Saturday Visitor Awards announced every year at the festival, part of this wonderful program. And again, the part of our mission to really celebrate Poe's legacy. And those of you in Poe land probably know this is a really big week. We've seen Poe-inspired adaptation on Netflix recently, The Pale Blue Eye. I'm a huge fan of the book. I really loved the film I saw on Netflix, and of course I'm a huge Harry Melling fan. I'm a huge Christian Bale fan, all the way back from Empire of the Sun. So this has been a really exciting week, but this year has also been really exciting. The series Wednesday, lots of Poe references there, and then looking forward to Maryland-born Mike Flanagan's House of Usher a little bit later this year. So this is a really big Poe year, but really brings home just the outsized influence that Edgar Allan Poe continues to have in popular culture this year and every year. So super excited about that. A brief plug for the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum in Baltimore, 203 North Amity Street. We are open every Thursday through Sunday from 11 to 4. We are open 12 months of the year. So if you do come to Baltimore, please consider coming to see the house where Poe begins his professional writing career, the house where Poe makes his chosen family, finds refuge with his blood relatives, a very important part of Poe's biography. Please come and see us at Poe House. We are open on a reservation-only basis at this time, but if you're interested in learning more about Poe House, please visit poebaltimore.org. Now, the purpose of these live Q&A sessions to share what people need to know, what creators need to know to submit their work, their Poe-inspired pieces for the Saturday Visitor Awards. Now, 10 points to anybody in watching tonight who remembers why we misspell the word visitor. I'll give everybody a couple of seconds before I share that answer, but there's a very specific reason why visitor is spelled this way. But the Saturday Visitor Awards, this will be our 5th year for the awards, again honoring that new generation of creators, writers, artists, filmmakers, just about anybody you can think of in creative arts who are inspired by Poe and continue to keep Poe in popular culture. So tonight we'll be talking about some of those tips and tricks. We'll be talking about the rounds of judging, what people should be expecting from the process, maybe some questions they might have about kind of like what happens behind the scenes with our judges. And then next week we'll be unveiling the judges judges for the Saturday Visitor Awards, who is going to be taking a look at the pieces that are submitted. So we'll be talking about that next week. But tonight we'll talk about what the judges are looking for, what people they may not see what's going on, but what's going on, what's happening behind the scenes. We'll talk about that tonight. Some of the information we go through every week, just make sure that everybody is aware. Anything interested in the Saturday Visitor Awards, please visit SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. There you will find entry guidelines, a detail about what we're looking for as people enter for the awards. You can even download a PDF of those guidelines, highlight the heck out of those, and really kind of keep in mind what the judges are looking for as you go through those guidelines and make sure you check all those boxes. Other frequently asked questions, other questions that we've seen each year, you can find some of those on our website. If you have a question, my favorite saying, some of the folks visiting every week probably know this by now, but if there's a question, there's no question. You want to get a hold of us at contact@poefestinternational.org. Send us any specific questions you have about your piece. You are not spoiling the surprise. You're not spoiling anything for the judges by getting really down to the nitty-gritty with your piece. Get a hold of the administrator, ask your questions. We want you to I want you to be in tip-top shape when you submit your piece for the award. So contact us, let us know what your questions are so we can help you get that ready before you submit your entry. So contact@poefestinternational.org is the place to contact us. The one thing I do ask is please don't submit your questions via social media. Don't tag us on social media or send us a direct message on Facebook, that kind of thing. We're doing the live Q&A right now, so you can ask your questions in the comments section, but please don't send us direct messages or tag us this way. A different team is looking at those social media posts, and it's going to take a while and a lot of different machinations to get that to us. So if there's a question, no question. Send us an email, and we want you to get really into the nuts and bolts of your piece so that you feel confident before you submit to the call for entry. So that's important to know, and SaturdayVisitorAwards.org is the website. Now, some dates to remember this year, 2023. Our call for entries opens on Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, January 19th. Call for entries opens at 12:01 a.m. Eastern. That's New York time. The deadline to enter is May 30th, one day before the final day in May. Entry deadline, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Now, that's the deadline. Don't wait. Get your entry in. We accept entries on a rolling basis. I can't say that there's any advantage necessarily to submitting an entry early, but at the same time, if something's wrong, we're going to get to you first, be able to get a hold of you, fix things first before things are sent over to the judges. And if you wait until that deadline, we're really short on time, we're scrambling, you won't be able to get all of the attention that you deserve if something goes wrong, God forbid. So get those entries in before the deadline. The deadline is May 30th. Now, if everything goes well and the judges are on top of everything, and the administrator, hey, it's on me too, the administrator's on top of everything, July 30th is when we announce the nominees. Nominees are then invited to the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival. This year, the festival will be October 7th and the 8th, and we have our award ceremony at the Black Cat Ball in Baltimore at the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival in October. So these are the dates to remember, things to keep in mind as you get your entries ready. Now, brief note about eligibility, and I will note I have fixed the typo here that we had last session, so I want to make absolutely clear. Eligibility for the awards. There are further guidelines you can find on our website, but I'm going to go through the quick bullet points of eligibility here. If you've got any questions, take a look at our website, SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. Download those guidelines so you can see these in full. But the highlights. Here we go. Media, art, performance, and or writing that adapts or is inspired by Poe's life and works. We really want to make clear there is no limit to genre, no limit to the medium. No restrictions. We have seen comedy, we have seen tragedy, we have seen, of course, your typical Gothic works inspired by Poe, but we've also seen children's books. We've also seen plays on Poe's life, plays on Poe's works. Really excited about how creative people really do get. So there's no restriction for medium or genre when you're thinking about creative works inspired by Poe. Now, the work must have been released, printed, distributed, or first performed, available for the public to see between January 1, 2020 and December 31, 2022. Now, we're talking about the previous 3 years. If your Poe opus has not yet been released to the world, if your your piece of poetry, the film has not yet been available for the public to see. We're looking for works in popular culture now. If it was not released, printed, distributed, or first performed before December 31, 2022, you are not yet eligible. Hang in there. You're ready for next year, but the works must have been released during this time. Now, if you were wildly inspired by Poe, you've been doing Poe-inspired work for years and years and years, but you are just now hearing about our awards. We do want to caution that reprinted or re-released materials are discouraged. We are looking for Poe in popular culture. We're looking for a work that has been available for the world to see. So reprinted or re-released materials discouraged. The material must have been changed in some serious way, edited in a serious way, or changed in some way for the work to be considered new and eligible for the award. So kind of kids keep that in mind. If that's fuzzy in any way, again, if there's a question, there's no question. Send us your question and we will talk to you one-on-one about your piece. Now, a work may be nominated in more than 1 year. Participants who have been part of the awards in previous years, perhaps even nominated in previous years, you are welcome to submit your work again. Every year, there's a new slate of judges, so in fresh eyes, we'll be taking a look at your piece. However, a winning entry, if you have won, or if your work is part of a collection that has won in previous years, your win is eternal. You are an eternal winner. You cannot win again. So you are no longer eligible. So them's the breaks. But these are the points of eligibility. More detail at SaturdayVisitorAwards.org. Now, please be patient with me. I am by myself this evening, so I want to make sure. Taking a look at the comments tonight. I see Rick. I see Kathy. We see you every evening. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Rick. Thank you very, very much for those compliments over on YouTube. And we'll continue. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put those in the comments. And I'm going to be flipping back and forth between those. And if I don't get your question, hopefully giving you an opportunity to contact us. Now, the December 31, if your piece wasn't finished by December 31, 2022, out there for the world to see, you have sadly missed your deadline, but you will be eligible next year. But this was the date to have your work out in front of the world for the world to see. So keep that in mind. Next, we will go to the Saturday Visitor Award categories. We do this every week. Want to be very, very clear about the categories. If you have any questions about these categories, send them my way. But I'm going to show a brief video about what we're talking about when we're looking at these categories that are given for the Saturday Visitor Awards. I feel I probably should devote a session to who may enter the awards. The creator clearly is eligible to enter the awards, but sometimes more than one person is part of the team. Any creative member, a producer, writer, composer, any creative member of the team is eligible to submit the piece for consideration for the Saturday Visitor Awards. And that's actually kind of important to note. And maybe we'll break that out into its own slide for another session. But if you are interested, or you are a lover of Poe and popular culture, and you know a creator out there, or you know a team of creators out there who are putting out works inspired by Poe, please tag them, because any of those people may be eligible to submit the work, submit the piece as a whole for consideration for the Saturday Visitor Award. So even in the comments tonight, if there's somebody out there who's creating Poe-inspired works and you want to recognize them, we will retweet or repost your vote for them, get them out there, get them noticed, and make sure that they're aware of the Saturday Visitor Awards so they can submit their for the call for entries. So sort of keep that in mind. Now, the awards are given out in two categories: adaptations of Poe's life or works. We gave a couple of examples in that video: portraits, biography. Biography is in this category because of the narrative nature of biography. You can tell a story, but some people are really good storytellers. Those are the people that we're looking for. So because of the narrative nature of biography, this is where biography falls under adaptation here. Film, dramatic adaptation, using Poe's words, his actual work as basically the basis, the core of the piece, even if it's ahistorical, even if stylized, this kind of thing, things have changed, that still falls under adaptation. Now, original works inspired by Poe, kind of doing a twist on Poe. We sometimes see Poe as a character, elements of his life in film, novels, plays. We see sequels, we see prequels, or any basis for an original story. Original poetry falls here. Original works inspired by Poe. Now, the one thing to keep in mind, we understand that creative works kind of skate, right? You've got different elements. Everything is creative. But you may not realize or may not know where you fall. The administrator might disagree with where you categorize yourself. If there's a question before you submit, no question. Send us your question and we will help you try to find the best category. However, if the administrator or even the judges decide that you should be kicked over to another category, please understand there is no penalty for getting kicked over to another category. We will let you know that you're competing in a different category, but it's not something to worry about. You're not going to be penalized for getting it wrong the first time. So if this is a point of contention, or if this is a point of confusion, do not worry. You have the resource. Please send an email our way. We're going to help you, try to guide you, try to give you our best estimation of where your piece falls. But if you make your best guess, you get, as long as you get your work in for the deadline, we'll work with you and kick you over to a different category if that's required. And again, there's no penalty for that. So just want to make that clear. Sometimes people sweat things and that discourages them from submitting. And we don't want to do that at all. We don't want anybody to be discouraged from submitting their work, especially if they're inspired by Poe. Never want to do that. So do want to stress that traditional and not so traditional works are eligible for entry to the Saturday Visitor Awards. We are living in incredible times. Social media, people's own websites, people's ability to get their own work out there, self-published works, works published on social media, as long as it wasn't, password protected, or as long as the work was out there for the world to see, it is eligible. So you will be asked to provide a link to your work, even if you weren't, published by Penguin, even if you weren't put out there, distributed by one of those big Hollywood movie companies, but you have done the legwork and gotten your work out in front of the world to see on your own website, your own social media channels, this kind of thing. That is entirely appropriate, totally okay. So traditional and not so traditional works are eligible. We want you to feel comfortable submitting for the award. So keep that in mind. There are no gatekeepers here. As long as your work was out in front of the public and there was no password protected to see it, you are eligible to enter your Poe-inspired work. So keep that in mind. In previous videos, we have gone over the primary considerations for the two categories, so I won't belabor this, but adaptation, the judges, some people ask, how is it possible that we can judge a screenplay against a opera or against an opera? And the answer is that the primary consideration, the judges are looking at very specific things from the adaptations of Poe's work, similar in the original works category. We can look at a children's book versus macaroni portrait, that kind of thing, because the primary considerations are the same, depending on no matter what work the judges are looking at. So these are the primary considerations. I invite you to find some of our other videos when we talk about these primary considerations. One thing I will share: for those people interested in submitting their works, you must choose. You may only submit one work per category. You may be prolific. You may have been creating Poe-inspired works for years, a whole theme podcast, this kind of thing. You may have years and years and years of episodes. You may only submit work that falls within this period of eligibility, and you must choose. You can only submit one work per category. You must kill your darlings. All right, so we've spent quite a bit of time on some of the ground that we have covered in the previous sessions. And if you've got any question about this, kind of take a look at our previous videos on our YouTube channel. We're here on Facebook. But tonight I'm going to go over a little bit more of the entry form. I can share, if you've submitted in previous years, that the entry form has not really changed too much from last year. So none of this should be a surprise for the people who are interested or have seen this before submitting their works. Again, if you're brand new, visit SaturdayVisitorAwards.org, and there you will be able to find a sample entry form, so you can download that on your own, so you can see exactly what you're going to be asked, so that there are no surprises when the portal opens and it's time to submit your work. But tonight I'll be going through some of the highlights of the entry form, how you get from this Google form that you have to fill out to the 10-10-10, the judges scoring your work, deciding that you are worthy of a nomination. Let's talk about the best way for you to get from one point to the next. We're going to get there. Things to note. We at the Saturday Visitor Awards, this is an online form that you submit your work via a form online, and we understand that there are creators out there who have created sculpture, who've created paintings, who've created pieces that really should be seen in person, and much as we wish we would be able to go wherever you are inspired by Poe. Unfortunately, we do not have the budget to bring our judges there. So you will be asked to provide a link to the work, but you will also be given the opportunity to describe or provide a synopsis of the work. And here's where you can share with the judges something that might not be readily apparent to them. You'll be asked to provide a description or synopsis of the work, including the medium or genre, but here you can note the size, dimensions, and even bits of the process. If it took you 100 hours, painstaking hours to put something together, this kind of thing, this is where you can share with the judges something that they might not be able to see right away when they took a look at the work. This is your opportunity to really share with the judges what they might be missing. So don't squander this opportunity. Think of a way to provide a description for the work. Obviously, the work should speak for itself, but at the same time, if there's anything you want the judges to know, this is how you make sure that the judges can see it. So really think about providing this description or synopsis, and this is where you want to do a little bit of editing and kind of consider what you need the judges to know that they might not be able to see right away. For those folks who have written novels, or feature films or even series inspired by Poe. These are considered long form works, anything over 10,000 words, anything over 20 minutes. So you will be asked if you are submitting a long form work. If this is the case, if your work is a long form work, you will be asked to provide a highlight. To highlight the segments, provide an excerpt for the judges to look at in the first round of entries. We'll be talking about these rounds in just a couple minutes, but just know that you will be asked to provide either a timestamp, page number, where the judges should go first, where the judges should look first when they're going to your work. Now, if it is the first paragraph, if it is the first chapter, that is absolutely okay. But if you want the judges to skip ahead to something you need them to see first, this is the place to give them. It should not be longer than 10 minutes, should not be long, or 20 minutes, should not be longer than 10,000 words, but you have an opportunity here to provide page number or timestamp for the judges. Skip ahead right away. And I guarantee that most of the judges are going to be looking at this in the first round. We do have some wonderkin judges that look at the whole thing, but this is your opportunity to tell the judges, go right here, and you're going to understand what I'm doing, and you have this opportunity. But if it is the first 10,000 words, first 20 minutes, that's okay too. And if you don't provide a place for them to start, they will default. They will default to the first 20 minutes or the first 10,000 words, and that is something to keep in mind. The next bit is you are going to be asked to provide an artist statement about your piece. And this is where, again, you can be very clear and draw a direct line from your work to Edgar Allan Poe and vice versa. Describe how Poe is the subject or inspiration for this work. Really lay your case out for the judges to see. Obviously, the work is the most important part of your entry. The judges are looking at the piece and its execution, but this is an opportunity for you to share your love of Poe, or share how Poe became a part of your process, and share with the judges, again, something that might not be part of the description, but it's something that is part of your work as an artist. And so you'll be asked to provide this statement. Now, we have cut this statement down slightly. We used to allow 10,000 characters for your statement. We have cut this to 5,000 characters. So a lot less room to provide your statement. I think I've been pretty clear about this in other videos, but I want to be clear about this right now. A URL to your statement is not acceptable here. You need to put the text to your statement in the entry form. We will not allow URLs. And if you try to provide a URL to try to get around the character count for the statement, your statement's going to be chucked and thrown away entirely. Your entry will still be judged, but your statement won't be considered. So please do keep that in mind. Don't try to be cute and go around our character limits here. We want everybody to follow the rules. Don't get creative about that part. Get creative about your piece, but don't get creative about that part. Finally, you will be asked to acknowledge that there is a $25 fee to enter your piece for SVA consideration. You'll just be asked to acknowledge this, and then you will be taken to a PayPal link to submit your entry right after you submit your piece. So do keep that in mind. Your entry will not be judged unless we receive your entry fee. It is $25. All right. I hope there are no questions about this. I don't see any questions popping up in our comments. Now's the time if you do have them, but please, we have a little bit more time. Now, tonight, I'm going to be going over the rounds of judging. This is something that is very much behind the scenes. It's not something that anybody really, it's not front facing. It's what the judges are doing, but hopefully it'll give you a little bit of insight as to what the judges have to do, what the judges are being asked to do as they go through the different rounds of judging. There are 3 rounds of judging that help us narrow all of the entries down to our nominees and then down to our winners. I hope to kind of like pull back the curtain a little bit on this, but again, if there are questions, very happy to answer these if I can. So round 1. Everybody submits their work in the call for entries. They have until May 30th, the deadline, to enter their works. And once this happens, I, as the administrator, go in and I organize the categories. I will do a one pass on these to make sure that the works submitted in the original works category are in fact original works. Anything submitted in the adaptations category are in fact adaptations. Sometimes this is the most frequent place that a piece will change categories. And again, there is no penalty if you get kicked over to another category. So it's not something to prevent you from submitting your entry. And if you have a question, there's no question. Send us your question and we will help you before you submit your piece. But in round one, the judges are presented with a raw slate of entries. We have seen several entries in these categories. The judges have about 2 months to go through everything. So this is a really tall ask for our judges. They are very sacrificing in spending this time doing this. But in round one, their goal is to provide a raw score for each of the entries, and then the top 15 scoring entries will advance to the next round. Judges are asked to provide a raw score. The scores are tallied, averaged, and then the top 15 top scoring entries then advance to the next round. In round two, the judges are then asked to once again provide a raw score. They're looking at the piece for a second time. They're refining their thoughts about that entry. They're maybe spending a little bit more time in the first entry, lots of entries to go through. So they're looking at those highlights. In round two, they've got the top 15, so they can spend more time with the entry, and they're asked again to provide a raw score. The top 10 scoring entries in each category are then winnowed down to our nominees. These are our official nominees. Now, 10 is the maximum number of entries per category. I want to be clear about this. The judges may decide at this round that the entry, even though it's high scoring, they do not necessarily consider it worthy of a SVA nomination. How can they decide this? Because this is a mathematical process in round one, no matter who enters, somebody's going to end up in the top 15. But the judges may decide in round two that even though it was a top scoring, they don't necessarily feel that it should make the top 10 nominees. This is entirely subjective, and 2-to-1 votes carry. So this is a little bit more opaque, this process, much more subjective, but the judges change every year. So this is how we try to keep things fair. But the top 10 entries at the end of round two are then our official nominees, up to 10 entries, invitation to attend, and they're sent an invitation to attend the International Edgar Allan Poe Festival and Awards. So this is a very consequential round, round two, and the nominees for the awards are determined at this time. Then we're on to round three. This does happen behind closed doors. The judges have at this point determined the top 10 entries, and once the top 10 are determined, the judges are then asked to rank first place, second place, third place, and so on. They're asked to rank the top entries in each category in this third round. All of the judges submit their scores separately. Then I, as the administrator, take a look and we figure out the top ranking entries, and the winners are kept secret until the Black Cat Ball is announced in 2020 at the Black Cat Ball 2023. Once the winners are announced, they will be invited to return for the awards the following year in 2024. So I hope this is and again, this is kind of behind the scenes, but I hope this gives people a sense of what the judges are doing when they're taking a look. All of the entries are sort of put through the ringer here, and they are passed through through 3 rounds of judging, and then that is how we determine the winners. So something to keep in mind as you're submitting your entry. You want to really make sure that the judges can see that you're answering to that primary consideration for each category. Adaptations of Poe's life or works, the primary considerations. Same thing with original works, those primary considerations. And that's how we are taking a look at these entries. And that's what the judges are looking for. And if you have any question about these, please do see one of the previous videos in this series. Kind of take a look at what we're talking about. All right. Important things to remember. Once more, we'll return to those things we try to share with everybody every week, because these are the kind of problems that we see every year. Please understand eligibility. We are looking for completed works, first released, published, printed, availably seen by the public at some point in the previous 3 years. We want to see Poe in popular culture. So somewhere between January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022, your work should have been out there. If the work is not yet out there, you are not yet eligible. You've got time. Hey, take the year. Think about it. Get your work out there. You've got time to do that. But you're not eligible yet unless your work was released before December 31, 2022. Long form entries, be asked to provide an excerpt, even if we're talking about, podcasts in a series. That's one of or episodes in a web series, this kind of thing. Only the episodes that fall within our eligibility will be considered, even though you're asking us to kind of take a look at the entire series. So you want to highlight best 20 minutes, best 10,000 words for the judges to see. You will be asked to provide a link to your work, and it is your responsibility to make sure that link works. We will ask you one time if we find that the link requires a password, or it's a strange wonky link, or things are skating around. We will give you one opportunity to fix this. So please make sure that the contact information that you provide is in fact correct, because if we can't get a hold of you, it's not gonna, don't do that. Don't do that. Make it easy for us to get a hold of you. But you will be asked to provide a working link to your work. If you don't know what a link is, if you don't know what a URL is, please ask a friend. We can't teach you how to use your computer. Provide a working link, and that is your responsibility. You will be given one chance if that doesn't happen to fix it. Make it easy to view. We've gone over this at length in previous videos, but just pretend that nobody has any such thing as a Kindle account. Nobody has any such thing as a Photoshop program downloaded onto their computer. You really want to make the files that you send, the link that you send to your work, something universal, something the judges can open without a password, this kind of thing. You want to provide a PDF, PNG, JPEG, a link straight to your work. You don't want to annoy your judges by forcing them to click around. And you don't want to annoy the administrator. Please don't annoy me. I don't like clicking around either, scrolling down to different things. Don't make it complicated to find you. Make it easy to view. Provide this. If you have any questions, please take a look at our previous videos. I go into further detail about that. For non-visual works like music, this kind of thing, if there are album covers, book covers, this kind of thing, it makes a strong impression. So make sure that that's part of your file. We kind of discourage zip files. It's a handy way to include several things. But again, you're asking a judge to kind of click around onto several things, and you don't want anything to get missed. So even for your own sake, make it super easy. Try to combine everything into one file for the judges to look at one time, open one time, because they may not spend the time to look at all of the different pieces, and then your piece won't be considered as highly. So visual elements, book covers, album covers, make sure that those are part of the file. That's totally appropriate, but make sure that's part and parcel of what you're looking at. Now, one of the questions that we got actually last year for the Saturday Visual Awards, one of the people who had submitted works noticed that fewer than 10 entries, fewer than 10 nominees were selected for a category. And the question was, wait a minute, I thought there were 10 per category. Why do the judges select fewer than 10 nominees per category? The answer is that each year is different, and the judging is subjective. So along with raw scores, judges are also asked if the nominees are worthy of an SVA official nomination. Let's say only 6 entries come in. We've seen a lot more than 6 entries, but let's say only 6 entries come in. We don't want all of those entries necessarily to skate through because they're fewer than 10. If we get fewer than 10 entries, they shouldn't automatically be nominees. So the judges are then asked not only to provide a raw score about the piece, but also, is the piece worthy of an SVA official nomination? And the 2-to-1 votes carry. So a low score combined with a no vote really is going to have a very large impact on the status of the nominations. And again, this is a subjective process. There are different judges on the panels each year. There's really no way to predict it. We have had previous nominees submit again and not be selected. And that is why you've got different judges kind of looking at things. So it's really a different process each year. The judges have primary guidelines that they're looking at, but they are still making their estimation, their judgment about the piece. So this is why there might be fewer than 10 nominees per category. So this is one of the questions that we got, and I thought it would be pertinent to share this week. All right. I don't see any questions in our comments section. I see a few people kind of watching tonight, but I hope that this has been clear. I hope that we've kind of cleared up some questions. You're getting excited. You're getting ready to submit your work again next week, Thursday, Poe's birthday. Connect with us. Follow us, Poe Fest International, on Facebook, on Twitter. We are Poe Baltimore on Instagram. We are Poe Baltimore on YouTube. Thank you to the folks who have been joining us each week, kind of taking a look at things. We will have one more session next week about the Saturday Visitor Awards. Time to be announced, because next week is also Poe's birthday, and next week Poe Baltimore will be at Westminster Hall for a murder mystery, the death of the Poe toaster. Now, VIP tickets, we are down to our last set of tickets for the VIP packages, but there are still tickets available for general admission to come to Westminster Hall, hang out with your fellow Poe fans, a toast to Poe at Poe's grave, and other members of the Poe family. So, and to get together for a murder mystery hosted by Poe's Magic Theater here in Baltimore. There are several other birthday celebrations going on for the rest of the weekend. We'll be up in New York with Roger McCormick at the Poe Cottage in New York for a toast on the 21st. Then we're heading down to Richmond for their capstone event. Not only is it Poe's 214th birthday, but it is also the 100th birthday for the Poe Museum in Richmond, and we want to support them. So you might see some live streaming coming from that event as well. But come and see us for Poe's birthday, Thursday, January 19th. And of course, that is when our call for entries for the Saturday Visitor Awards will open at midnight. I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody's works this year. I already been tagged a few times and told that some folks will be entering. I cannot wait to see how you guys present for our judges this year. Next week, we will announce our judges as well as our guest of honor. And again, I'm so looking forward to another wonderful year of Poe-inspired work. Thank you very, very much. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and we will see you soon.